is Circa Tonight, powered by SharpStack. Matt Brown and Steven Andrus counting our way down to Thursday night football kickoff between the Minnesota Vikings and the LA Chargers over in LA. Steven sitting here about 3.5 in favor of the Chargers, depending on where you are looking currently. 44.5 is our total out there. We were seeing 3.5s the majority of last night and this morning, but it looks like those hooks are getting bought. It's still an expensive 3. We could see this thing toggle maybe a couple different times over the next, hour and 45 minutes before this thing kicks off. But 3.5 seems to be where this will kick.
Keeping a weathered eye on the offensive linemen for the LA Chargers, who will be wearing their LaDainian Tomlinson era navy blues tonight. Excited for that. A little better than the Savannah Banana Yellows from last week, to steal a joke I saw online. If Joe Alt plays and if Trey Pipkins plays, then I will only be interested in the Chargers. If they do not play, especially Joe Alt, well, now I start getting interested in Minnesota. So we'll get into that handicap as we get closer to kickoff. Inactives come out 90 minutes before kickoff, and we'll go from there. Might also be interested in an under if Joe Alt's not going to play in this game. We'll get into more of that as we get closer to kickoff.
Yeah, I already laid the 3 with the Chargers under the assumption that we were going to get those offensive linemen. 3 LPs this week and then listed as questionable on a short week. I think if they weren't going to play, and this is just me speculating, but if they weren't going to play, they would have just ruled them out and whatever. It's a short week and they say, okay, we'll take the mini bye. We get everybody back. But I think, Steven, they want these dudes to play. And so because of that, I went ahead and laid the 3 with the Chargers. And if they don't go, then, it's not a bet that I'm happy about being in my account.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I mean, I kind of got the same read, just reading the reports and whatnot. Joe Alt himself said that he was going to try and play this week. So I think if you were going to gamble on the line on what was going to happen with these offensive linemen, you picked what I would have gambled on. So we'll just kind of see how this plays out as we get closer. But I'm not. I think I might be done with the Carson Wentz experience. That much I know, Matt.
No, absolutely. And just a player prop that I do have in my account, and I don't want this number to get away just in case. I am going to go ahead and I am going to sit here and believe that because we have no Hassan Haskins, who has already been ruled out here, Kamani Vidal is going to go over 15.5 receiving yards. He's gotten 4 and 5 targets the last 2 games, Steven. And that's with getting, split work here with Hassan Haskins. But now that he goes down, we're literally on running back 5th string, 6th string, calling guys up from bagging groceries here for the Chargers. And on a short week, I just don't know how quickly you get these dudes up to speed to take any meaningful snaps. I expect Vidal to handle 85, maybe 90% of the work tonight here for the Chargers. And with that being the case, the 4 and 5 targets he was getting while he was splitting time, as long as he gets the 5 targets, I still feel comfortable about the 15.5 yards, but we might see 6 or 7 targets for him out of the backfield here in this one. And that would obviously have us feeling great about an over 15.5 receiving yards. So I'm banking also on Vidal kind of handling the majority of the load here.
Yeah, I can't tell you right now who the backup running back is for the Chargers. They signed a guy off a practice squad, the former Bengals running back, Travion something. There's a couple others still on the practice squad, but literally in the active roster as of yesterday, it was only Vidal who is healthy. So they have to call somebody up from the practice squad. No idea who that's going to be. So I like this look. I think you're looking at potential bell cow work from Kamani Vidal. And they, with these offensive line issues that they've had in recent weeks, wouldn't be surprised if they're looking for him and for some outlets here when they're getting pressured just as a safety valve situation here.
Well, yeah, I expect the middle to be a little bit like open. No Van Ginkel, but Flores, is still just going to bring the heat like left and right.
Yeah.
So I think there might be some mismatches for Vidal too out of the backfield. So wanted to get that out there before we, in case that line happens to move or happens to have anything. But again, we'll keep you updated here as soon as the inactives become official. The New York Jets are heading on the road to the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are 6.5-point home favorites here over the Jets. 44.5 is our total. Steven, we are dealing with a resurgent Cincinnati team since Joe Flacco came over. I mean, look, he might be 40, but he's still got one of the best receiving duos, if not the best receiving duo in the NFL right now. And so he took advantage of that last week. And that's why we're sitting at nearly a touchdown here in favor of Cincinnati at home over the last winless team in the NFL and the New York Jets.
With that being said, this might be getting a little out of control if it's Tyrod Taylor, Matt. I have not bet it yet, but I'm thinking about it. And this is one of many very uncomfortable underdogs that I'm wondering have been ballooned up to points where they've become bettable this week. And it's going to be a very uncomfortable card for me potentially. These two teams by consensus market ratings were about a point apart on a neutral field last week until Joe Flacco did what he did on Thursday Night Football. Now, the Jets are a dumpster fire. With Brian Callahan fired in Tennessee, I think Aaron Glenn is the worst head coach in the NFL at this point. But also Justin Fields was a complete zero at quarterback for them, at least in terms of the passing game. We saw in the Tampa Bay game earlier this year, minus the pick six, obviously, but Tyrod Taylor could at least be decent, maybe. I don't know if that's an exaggeration or not, but I don't know how you get from a point apart in consensus market ratings last week to flirting with a touchdown here in Cincinnati. So I have to ask myself, is this a Tennessee Titans situation, or is this still a team that's fighting? And I think the defense at least has shown in recent weeks that they're willing to fight. I don't know if it's going to be enough if Sauce Gardner's out or not. I would feel a lot better about this if Garrett Wilson's going to play. He's day-to-day, so this is probably going to be a decision closer to kickoff. But, man, this is quite the move off of what the ratings were for these teams last week, Matt.
Yeah, I thought about the Jets, and then this injury report basically has me on like just high alert, right? I mean, back-to-back DNPs for Sauce Gardner, for Cam Jones, for Garrett Wilson, back-to-back limiteds for Breece Hall, Tyrod Taylor, back-to-back limiteds. He's got a knee issue. They obviously want to play him. And then out of nowhere, Mason Taylor today, quad injury DNPs as well, one of their guys that's kind of stepped up as a playmaker. And so for me, it was a lean towards the Jets that has completely evaporated now. And now I just have no interest really in this game at all with where it's going to be, because all of those dudes that are DNPing here on a Thursday are not going to play on Sunday. So it's going to be a limited Jets team that obviously is already limited because they can't figure out how to win a game.
If they all miss, are you teasing the Bengals or using them in Survivor?
Yeah, I think I've already used them, so I can't use them. I think for anybody out there, it at least becomes an option for you, for sure. But yeah, I think that makes Cincinnati a pretty strong teaser leg. And honestly, even an alt line parlay, even at the 6.5, you can only ask for 4 points from the books and get it under the field goal and kind of go from there. So just something to think about there in that game, but monitor the injury report tomorrow. That is the tell-all for this Jets team and how you're going to go about playing this game. San Francisco 49ers are on the road at the Houston Texans. This is still 1.5-2 in favor of Houston at home. 41.5 is our total. Steven, you want to talk about a teaser leg? This is 1.5, but that being said, I mean, this, you would play 49ers like every day and twice on Sunday, but I just played them straight up on the money line. I have no idea why this team that, by the way, again today, Nico Collins and Christian Kirk, both DNPs. So cool. Who you throwing the ball to down there in Houston? And San Francisco started to look a little bit more like San Francisco last week. I think this is wrong team favored type situation. So give me the 49ers on the money line.
I think I can suspect why the market is in on Houston in this game, just expecting at some point for the Niners and the talent they now have on paper, especially on defense, to start playing closer to what a team with that kind of talent on the field usually plays like. I think that fails to account for the amazing coaching that the 49ers have and the weekly game planning that Kyle Shanahan does. He keeps doing it every week. They can win in shootouts with these backups like they did in LA any given week, and they can win in slogs like they did last week against the Atlanta Falcons. And Robert Saleh, the defensive coordinator, is back to being a wizard, losing Fred Warner, one of the best defensive players in the league, losing Nick Bosa and him scheming up exotic blitz pressures where Michael Penix had no idea where it was coming from and got extremely banged up by the end of that game. Now, again, market's reacting to yet another big injury for the 49ers. Their other stud pass rusher, Bryce Huff, is doubtful for this game. They also don't know if they're going to have Diamador Lenore, their cornerback, their nickelback, Upton Stout. So it's a lot of injuries. I certainly get it. But has there been a single week this year, Matt, where you have had the Houston Texans rated higher than the San Francisco 49ers? For me, I haven't. Even when I was wrong about their ratings at the start of the year, I never had Houston higher than San Francisco because the offensive line stinks. And now, like you said, down 2 potential starting wide receivers. CJ Stroud with these offensive line issues, 26th among quarterbacks, an adjusted EPA plus PFF grade. I don't know why, if you strip home field, they would be equal or a little bit better than the 49ers at this point.
No. And see, like, don't let that box score fool you from last week either. Like, Houston's offense did not score 19 points. One of those was a strip sack in the end zone from the defense that was worth 7. One was another turnover that created a short field goal. So 10 of their 19 points were all on the defense, and were not on the offense whatsoever. The offense stinks out loud. It is absolutely horrific. And that was with Nico Collins in there. Now you remove Nico Collins. This is just, I don't know how I do not know how they score enough points to win this game. So, like, I understand that San Francisco's defense could be depleted in this one. I understand that it's Mac Jones. I think Mac Jones, in my book, is, from what we've seen from him, he is not a very big step down from Brock Purdy, if a step down at all. And so, again, you're giving me points or I'm taking plus money on this thing. I will take that all day long.
Yeah, just to be clear, I didn't tease it. I took Niners money line. And I know it's moving against us here. And this is just one of those where that always concerns me when the market's moving against me, but I don't get this one. I really don't. And I can't wait to see how I'm wrong about it, to be honest with you. If the Texans win, it also has to be a lower scoring game at this point, in my opinion. So I think there's a pretty decent correlation to the under if the Texans win here. And I think 2 points on the Niners, if you don't want money line, I think in a low total game like this, with how limited the Texans offense is, 2 points might actually be valuable if you'd rather just go that route with the 49ers.
Chicago Bears on the road at the Baltimore Ravens. This is 6.5 in favor of Baltimore. 49.5 is our total in what can only be described as almost an unhandicappable game here because, Stephen, we don't know for sure that Lamar Jackson is going to play. Limited again here on Thursday at practice. We've had a couple of different beat reporters tell us that it is not a slam dunk that he's going to play this week, that the organization has decided they're going to wait until he is 100% before they play him because they don't want him to go back out there, re-injure this thing, and then be gone for the season. And so I can't do anything right now. The only thing I could possibly do is take the 6.5 with Chicago because there is still at least a chance that Lamar doesn't play. And oh, by the way, if he does, Stephen, then that means he's going out there at less than full strength, which, again, what makes Lamar is his elusiveness, is his ability to scramble, is the designed runs, all the different stuff like that. And if you're worried about his hamstring, are you calling all that stuff? Is he doing all of that stuff? I mean, I don't know. Again, it's very tough handicap without knowing if he's going to play for sure or not. But even at the 6.5, if he does play, he's obviously not 100%. So maybe 6.5 is too much with this pathetic defense that we've seen out of the Ravens.
Yeah, this is a prototypical kind of gambling on the line movement situation, right? But I think you would agree that if Lamar plays, it might not even get to 7.5. There was already some speculative buyback at 7 when it hit that. So even if it does get to 7.5, are you really feeling that awful about having 6.5, given Lamar's limited and the defense is bad? I don't think I'd be that upset about that still. So then the opposite end is the other choice you could potentially make here is the gamble on taking the Ravens at 6.5. Maybe it gets to 7.5, and you feel a little good. But the downside is enormous if he doesn't play, and now you're holding a Ravens minus 6.5, where this is going to close closer to pick. That's an awful situation. So there's only one choice to make as we record here on Thursday night right now, and that's whether or not you want to bet the Bears now or not. because it's never betting the Ravens at this juncture with how shaded this is to Lamar potentially playing. But I agree with you. If he plays, he's clearly not 100% yet.
Also, this is being flirted around as a survivor play, and all I would say
Not
is,
a chance
are
in
you
hell.
out of your mind? Like just absolutely
Never.
no chance. Even if Lamar goes, absolutely no chance, because you got to see it with your own eyes first. Like, I mean, if Lamar is out there hobbling around, or at least like unwilling to run and unwilling to scramble because he's afraid of his hamstring and stuff, then like you do not want to have your survivor entry and your survivor life riding on Baltimore in that situation. Like, so again, you would be buying in on what could be the worst version of a Lamar-led Baltimore team, as opposed to waiting a few weeks when he actually is healthy and they maybe get a little bit better on defense or whatever, because they can't get worse. So maybe they get a little bit better on defense. Like you would be buying in, Steven, in my opinion, at the absolute low right now. I am never doing that.
Yeah. I mean, let's let Lamar get healthy. There'll be some spots with the division and the schedule. I'm good. There's a lot of big favorites this week. Why would you ever gamble on a situation like this?
We have the Miami Dolphins at the Atlanta Falcons. This is 7.5 in favor of Atlanta at home. 44.5 is our total here in this one. Miami just in complete disarray. Can't believe the coaching staff survived. Can't believe all of the stuff we're hearing coming out. Who's going to get traded? Who's not going to get traded? Jalen Waddle was limited at practice today. All kinds of nonsense with Miami. And now they got to head on the road to Atlanta, who has a defense that is playing much, much better than we anticipated, Steven.
Agreed. Nevertheless, the consensus market ratings only made these two teams 4 points apart as of a couple weeks ago. So to now have this past 7 makes me start wondering if I should bet Miami. And I need you to talk me off of this, because I don't love it. I see all of the nonsense that's going on in the locker room with Miami. I think the bottom could fall out any given week. You had Mike McDaniel saying a couple of weeks ago that at the podium wasn't the forum for Tua to criticize his teammates. And then this week he says, I just want Tua not to throw 10 picks at the podium. So, I mean, this is like a bad reality TV show at this point. And I don't know if that can be properly priced in the market, even though this on paper is pretty inflated from what it was a couple of weeks ago. It would only be Miami for me at this point, but I don't know if I have the courage to press the button.
All right, Steven, it is out, and Joe Alt is active tonight for the Chargers. As imagined, Andrew Van Ginkel, CJ Ham not playing for the Vikings tonight. JJ McCarthy is listed as the emergency third string quarterback for the Vikings, but we are getting that offensive line situation that we were looking for out of the Chargers tonight.
All right, let's take a look at where the market's at right now going into this game. We are looking at still 3 minus 120 at Circa for the Chargers. As far as the total is concerned, we are looking at 44.5. So my underlook, I don't love with Joe Alt back there. It would only be Chargers right now for me. I'd need the 3. It would not be the 3.5. I want that push equity. Joe Alt coming back is a big deal. Without him, this was a bottom 6 offense over the past few weeks. With Justin Herbert getting pressured on like almost half of his snaps. So Joe Alt is an elite tackle. It helps a lot. Pipkins being there should help too. And I don't want to lean into the Carson Wentz experience anymore, to be quite honest with you. So there might be some props for me. Get to that at the end of the show, but I'm off the under now with Joe Alt there. And I certainly have zero interest in the Vikings at this point with Joe Alt back. I also don't know if he's going to be fully effective and 100%. We'll see. He was limited all week. So that's kind of where I'm at with the game. It's Chargers or pass for me right now. And I want to ruminate on it a little bit more. And we'll talk more about it at the end of the show.
Yeah, like we said, you can go in. You can find the Chargers at 3. Is this really correct? Yeah, so there's a 3-110 at BetMGM. So if you like the Chargers, it's the only 3-110 that is out there in the market currently. So go to town on that. So MGM must be not wanting any more Vikings money or something on this thing. But yeah, that is where you can.
Might not be taking a lot of money from some people as well, by the way.
So
Unlike
Interesting
Circa,
stuff
we'll
there
take
on
any
that
bet
one
you
for
want.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, this offensive line certainly hasn't been great, Steven, as we said, but boy,
It's different with Joel. Like if you look at a chart of
right.
protections where the top right corner is the elite tackles, he's right up there at the top. It's a huge difference. So we'll see. And Pipkins has been good, even though he was the backup going into camp.
All right. So that's where we sit right now. With that, any more news, I will let you know. But really good news if you were backing the Chargers tonight, as it was anyway, because that's the injury report that you wanted to get for sure. Back to this. I just don't know. I mean, Tua has been playing at such a miserable level. And now this whole Waddle's, limited, all the stuff like that. I get it. It's a big number. This is the one for me this week that I think could actually get out of hand. Like, I think it could get really wacky with Miami just completely coming off the rails in this one. So given all of that, we've just talked about some slam dunk teaser legs yet again. I mean, I have a very hard time seeing Atlanta losing this game at home, kind of figuring things out the way that they have. So if you want to get this thing down to 1.5, more power to you. I think that that's a pretty strong one.
Don't mind that. Miami also lost Darren Waller for this game, which compound that with Tyreek Hill. I mean, it's just another red zone weapon that you've now lost. He's having trouble finding Waddle because, in Tua's own words, he's too short and can't see over the offensive line. So it's all kinds of not great here. This is the biggest spread that these two teams would have been at any point this season. So just know that going in. But if it sticks here the whole week, then you're in traditional Wong teaser territory. That's for sure.
I'll also give you this. For people that have already used the Colts in Survivor, for people who have already used the Chiefs or are saving the Chiefs in Survivor, again, I think this is a fine Survivor play, which is kind of ironic that I'm going to play them again this week, Steven, considering I lost 4 of my entries on them already once this season. So could the same team just wipe me out of Survivor? I mean, we'll see. But again, I am okay playing what seems to be a completely dead Miami team that has almost, it looks like dudes are just out there quitting. I mean, it looks like these dudes are don't even want to be out there. So Atlanta probably going to be in my account this week from a Survivor standpoint.
I can't knock it, especially at home. I would hope to get a little more clarity on Michael Penix and how limited he is this week, because he is banged up coming out of that game last week. But it's a soft landing spot here with Miami, that's for sure. I do see some quit in this defense.
Buffalo coming out of the bye, heading to Carolina. They are 7.5 point favorites out there in the market. 45.5 all the way out to 46.5 is the available totals here in this one. Steven, as we take a look at Buffalo, this defense has certainly left a lot to be desired. The offense even has looked clunky at times. Sure, they absolutely hum at other points, but there's been some clunkiness here with this offense as well. Now, do you fix that in the bye week? We will find out, but do you want to pay to see on the road at a touchdown or better?
No. This is another kind of ugly underdog that I've already bet. I bet Panthers plus 7.5. I need the hook. Andy Dalton's playing. So in all likelihood, Andy Dalton's playing as we record right now on Thursday. I don't know what that is anymore at this point in his career. But in terms of the matchup in this game, this is a really tough matchup for Buffalo, both with their rushing offense, which they are one of the most run-heavy offenses in the league, against the number 1 success rate rush D in Carolina. And then on the other side, Buffalo has a rushing defense that is bottom 5 in the league, playing a Carolina rushing offense that's number 2 in rush EPA, and in terms of rushing success rate is number 1. So on paper, Carolina is going to have a lot of success on offense and defense with running the ball with two teams that love to run the ball. So that should also shorten the game a little bit, maybe some longer drives, make it a little bit easier theoretically to cover more than a touchdown. So that's kind of where I'm at here. I think based on the matchup here and what these two teams do well and don't do well, I think 7.5 is pretty valuable here for the Panthers.
The other interesting thing here, just from a player prop standpoint, guys, if you're looking at it, does look like Carolina is going to go with the dreaded two-headed monster in the backfield now, and it looks like it's going to be Chuba Hubbard and Rico Dowdle getting about 50-50. At least that's what we saw last week. So really tough to play the player prop market there because you're just kind of guessing. The one thing that maybe I'm going to buy into, though, Steven, is you can find 32.5 for receiving yards on Xavier Legette. And it seems as if they have decided that they're going to see what they have in him. And maybe, last week, peppered with targets, had a monster game, and was out there running routes and doing everything and getting as many looks as Tet McMillan was. And so we're only asking for 33 yards from Xavier Legette. If he is the true actual number 2, that is a very low total. If this was a fake number 2 performance like we got last week, then yeah, it's probably about right. But something that if you do like the Panthers, then they're going to have to score points because the Bills are not going to go away quietly. And so you're going to need some offense, and that offense can't just totally be through the air with Tet McMillan. So you can kind of make a correlated telling of the story of how the Panthers have success against the Bills.
My only devil's advocate argument of that would be if they continue to increase Jalen Coker's snaps. Last week was his first game back off of IR, and they limited his snaps to less than 40%. If that continues to progress higher, he was a target earner last year in this offense, but also Xavier Legette might be taking a step forward as a young receiver. So
we got to remember, he was a first-round pick.
He was.
They thought enough of him to take him in the first round.
Yeah, and Coker's an undrafted guy who basically is filling the Adam Thielen shoes after he got traded. So the point is well taken for sure. It's possible.
New York Football Giants are on the road at the Philadelphia Eagles. 7.5 here in this one as well in favor of the Eagles. 44 is your prevailing total out there. Yet another team that will be considered in Survivor this week. If you're in Circa, I would say no. Too valuable to hold on to the Eagles, but hey, you do you. I started with 10 and I'm down to 2.5. So, I don't have a great thing on all of this, but I'm going to be holding on to them. Not even a consideration for me this week, Steven. Need them down the line, holiday weeks and such, but doesn't mean I can't bet them. What say you here at the 7.5?
Giants again. Now, I get a little nervous when I've been on them back-to-back weeks and won some bets on a team to cover, and then the third week, it's kind of an old horse racing term. You want to get them for the breakout. You don't want to bet them at the funeral when the odds are less and the odds are worse. So the Giants have been upgraded here. I mean, this was 7.5 in New York 2 weeks ago, and now you're flipping home field, and it's basically the same. Now, traditionally, my co-host at Pool Genius, Jason Lisk, will tell you that the NFC East home field advantage typically hasn't been as strong as other divisions. So maybe there isn't much home field here. I would argue Philadelphia is definitely worth something. The Link is a tough place to play. But I also think the Giants are worthy to be upgraded over the past couple of weeks from what we've seen. Despite not having Malik Neighbors, they should have won last week, if not for a historic collapse. They played awesome the week before against Philadelphia. Didn't just cover, but doubled them up 34-17, moved the ball well. And the Eagles, again, have more injuries to deal with here. They had back-to-back DMPs for A.J. Brown at wide receiver. They had back-to-back DMPs for Cam Jurgens, the center in this offense. They have a bunch of other guys on the injury report this week. Landon Dickerson is still basically playing hurt. Another limited back-to-back for him with his ankle and his back. And then we'll see about Adoree Jackson, who's probably not going to play. I don't think Adoree Jackson's good, but if he's playing, then the backup isn't very good either. So that's a position that offenses have picked on. The offense looked better last week for the Eagles. I will concede that. But some of the tape grinders have said it wasn't anything new and creative. It was just some more basic stuff that they executed well against Minnesota. So I don't really think I'm high on the Eagles still. I don't think I'm re-upgrading them a ton from what all of our preseason ratings were on them. But I believe in this Giants team to stay competitive, especially the way the defense has leveled up in this elite defensive line since Jackson Dart took over. This is a top 10 defense by APA in success rate. So I like this defense a lot to keep them in games. It's not just Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo. So I like 7.5, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to bring up the Eagles injuries, and we got to bring up the injuries on the Giant side too, because that is, we can't give one side of this. Paulson Adebo, back-to-back DNPs, starting corner. Brian Burns, back-to-back DNPs, starting edge rusher. Chauncey Golden, back-to-back DNPs, defensive end. Javon Holland, back-to-back DNPs, starting safety. So all of that could play into the handicap as well for people in this game. Mainly for me, and the reason this is just to stay away completely for me is I don't know what the hangover is going to be for this Giants team after blowing that game last week. I mean, it's like, and then it's a back-to-back roadie. So it's like, okay, now let's get back on the road and try and figure out, how the hell we don't blow another one and all that. I don't know. It had to be quite the mind F there for this Giants.
At least it's just a bus trip though. For what that's worth. It's just a bus trip.
Losing that game. And so, I'm saying not playing at home. I mean, whatever, just playing in somebody else's say. I'm not talking about the travel necessarily. I'm just, playing, like I said, it's a difficult place to play. I mean,
it is.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't want to sit here and try to handicap their emotions or anything, but God, it's got to be tough.
The over's been bet in this game pretty decently this week. I mean, this was opened at 42.5, and we are up a few points from that, 43.5, 44, depending on where you're at. And that makes sense to me based on the defensive injuries that we read on both sides here. Typically you get these two teams playing this close to each other twice in 3 weeks, and that usually leads to an under historically. But I think both of these defenses have questions, at least in terms of the pass defense, when you account for the Giants' injuries.
Cleveland Browns on the road at the New England Patriots, another touchdown favorite this week in the New England Patriots. 40.5 is our total here in this one. The Patriots just continue to impress, continue to play really, really good football. Stephen, we've said it multiple times here on the show. I'll just say it again for those new viewers out there. Drake May is a baller. Like, Drake May is a legitimately good quarterback in the NFL, and his progression in his play from year one to year two is unbelievable. And he's doing this without a really great offensive cast around him. They really built up that defense in the offseason. I think New England spends a ton of their draft capital and free agent money in building up the offense in this coming season. And who knows, we might have another friggin' Patriots dynasty on our hands when this is all said and done. But what do you think about a full touchdown over Cleveland, who might be down a couple players as well?
I lean more towards this is the first real defense that we will now see Drake May try to take on. Some of you might put the Steelers in that category, but I think Matt and I would say the Steelers defense is not that great and has feasted on some turnovers. The teams have moved the ball pretty easily on the Steelers. I mean, Drake May has done this on the back of games against the Miami defense, the Carolina defense, which there was some special team. That was just a weird game. A lot of special teams wonkiness. Panthers a little more injured a few weeks ago. So they are a good defense now. So I will concede that. But then the Saints and the Titans defense the past couple of weeks. You face Cleveland now. This to me is a big step up in class. The Cleveland defense, despite their offensive issues, continues to play hard, continues to play well. This is the number 3 defense in the league by EPA per play allowed, number 3 in success rate allowed as well. I like getting 7 here, man. I do. It's just another uncomfortable dog for me this week, kind of selling the Patriots at their highest rating so far this year and knowing that the entire offense is Drake May. They have been completely inept running the ball. And that's kind of the simplicity of the handicap for me, to be honest with you. I'm not sure that against a really good defense that I'm ready to make this team a touchdown favorite.
Yeah, I just wonder how poorly, and while it is a very good defense for Cleveland, I just wonder how poorly this offense does match up with this defense for the Patriots, which, by the way, this time of year, pretty unbelievable. They didn't have a single DNP today at practice. Like everybody put in some form of practice today for New England, which is just absolutely wild as we enter week 8 in the NFL. But you look and,
can the Niners call the Patriots, please? As a Niners fan, can you please freaking call the Patriots and figure out how you don't have any injuries? I'd appreciate it.
The Browns, 30th in pressure rate allowed, 28th in pass block win rate. They are dead last in yards before contact per carry, 28th in stuffed run percentage. I just don't know how they get any offense. I almost feel like I want to just take like the Patriots team total over, because I do believe, and it's such an incredibly low game, the Patriots can score at least a little bit on this Browns defense. And I don't know. I just don't want to rely on this Browns offense to try to keep me in this game. It's just all the stats are just so horrific. Just absolutely so horrific about this Browns team.
Yeah, I will concede that was my concern. Like, they obviously want to run the ball with a young quarterback in there, and the Patriots have a really good rush defense. Milton Williams in there with Barmore is a really solid combination. So now you're maybe relying on Dylan Gabriel. This is where we find out about Dylan Gabriel, right? Or we might get Shedeur Sanders sooner than later. Like, he's had excuses coming into this against really good defenses or a weather game. If he is at all the starter for most of the season, the rest of the way here, he's got to show something in this game, because it looks like fine weather in New England this weekend. So I'm kind of hoping for that. Stefanski's done a good job of scheming guys open. Harold Fannon's been an immediate impact as a rookie. So I don't know. It's very uncomfortable. I will fully admit that. And I think Drake May is legit. I've sung his praises for weeks in a row, and I just think 7's a little too much. We'll see. I might have egg on my face after this one.
Every week there's a game that kind of just like jumps off the page as the game that I want to like put on a rocket and fire into the sun. Tampa Bay on the road at New Orleans as 4-point favorites, with everybody banged up and everything broken with this team right now. But they're facing the 30th, 31st power rated team in the NFL, depending on where you have them. Steven, look, Tampa should be favored still, probably. But a banged up Egbuka, you lose Mike Evans, Godwin and Bucky Irving already ruled out for this one. Now it's Baker to Tez Johnson and Cade Otton and all of this stuff and whatever. Again, I think it's about fair. I just don't, nothing I want to get involved with though this week.
Yeah, no bet for me. I'll tell you why I didn't bet the Bucks. It would be Bucks or pass for me. When you look at the injuries, it was kind of like an assumption that, well, Baker can handle this, right? He's facing the Saints defense. And then I looked the past 4 weeks as these injuries started to mount, and we knew there was a little bit of smoke and mirrors with the Bucks offense the first couple of weeks of the season, high EPA, low success rate. And then if you look at the sample from the last 4 weeks, Baker is actually average at best in terms of the EPA and success rate metrics and the completion percentage over expected. So it's kind of regressing for him. I just think this is right. I'm ready to move on and just see if the Bucks can be something here. I will say I would probably lean under here just on Todd Bowles being able to confuse Spencer Rattler. Rattler 6 turnover worthy plays last week against the Bears.
Yeah, it's just look, I bought in on the Bucks from an NFC standpoint and even a Super Bowl standpoint, and then things just got worse, and so I've got to take it a hate in the account now. But we'll see. We'll see how.
Let them get healthy, and I think there's real upside here with the Bucks. Yeah. They're just not healthy yet.
Tennessee Titans are on the road at the Indianapolis Colts. This is your slam dunk teaser leg. Your slam dunk survivor play of the week as 14.5 point favorites, all the way up to 15.5 actually at Circa. 47.5 to 48 is our total. Tennessee, completely devoid of talent. Everyone was talking about dead cat bounce, and I'm like, what are you talking about? They don't have any talent.
To your credit, last week you said it.
They don't have any talent. I mean, like that's the difference. It's like they don't have any talent. There's no good players on this team. Like that's the biggest problem with all of this. And so again, if you have the Colts, don't think about it. Like just push the button on the Colts, feel great, move on. Because again, not a ton of future value on this Colts team as it is anyway. I mean, you're not going to love playing them against Atlanta on a neutral field. You're not going to play them at Kansas City. They've got a bye in there as well. I mean, there's really no other place outside of week 17 at home against Jacksonville, and who really knows what Jacksonville will look like by then. So this is it. Punch the ticket, move on. Don't get cute.
Typically, I would push back against the most popular team in Survivor, Matt, but this actually works out where the Colts have been used by a decent amount of teams in pools in 2 weeks where we had the most people eliminated. So
yeah, it doesn't matter if it's the most popular pick this week, because there's 3/4 of the pool that won't be that's not even an option for them.
Exactly. So that actually creates an odd situation, a little bit of leverage and plus EV on a 2-touchdown favorite this week. So I have one Survivor entry left in a pool for $1 million, and I will be using the Colts this week.
I unfortunately used the Colts in week 5, so I do not have them available to me. So I will be having to look elsewhere. But yes, that is the play definitely here for me. Is there any other way you're going to look at this one?
There is. I've gotten creative, and it's because I want to just try and keep finding ways to bet against the Titans, because you're right. They have no players, and this week they have even fewer no players. Jeffrey Simmons is out. Like, their only good player on defense. He's not playing. Snead's already on IR. The offense can't score. The Colts are number 2 in the NFL in EPA on scripted plays. Shane Steichen's a master. They are number 1 in the league on non-scripted plays in terms of EPA. They are explosive as hell all game long. So what I found is Indy on the 3-way money line for the first quarter. So it's basically the equivalent of -0.5 point on the spread. They just have to have any kind of lead after the first quarter. Parlayed with Colts -9.5, and that's a -110 bet. So we're getting creative. We're laying normal juice, finding a way to not have to bet the 14 or the 14.5, because in the first meeting between these two teams, the Titans scored a late touchdown in the fourth quarter to cut this to 14, and then the Colts got one more touchdown to get outside that number that we have this week. Not often where you get a team scoring another touchdown when they're already up by 14 with 5 minutes left in the game. So you're just always opening yourself to the back door with a huge spread like this. So I'll find a creative way. Colts first quarter 3-way money line, parlayed with -9.5 on the full game spread for -110 for me.
In my opinion, the game of the week, Dallas on the road at Denver.
Yes.
This is 3.5 in favor of Denver. It is 51.5 out there from a total standpoint. This is, in my opinion, the reason I say game of the week is this is the biggest prove it game that you could possibly imagine right here. I mean, it is, hey, Dallas, can your defense hold up enough to keep this inept offense from outscoring you? And can your awesome offense do what it's been doing all season long against one of the elite defenses in the NFL? And then vice versa there for Denver on the other side against Dallas. Steven, when this got on the other side of 3, it was too much for me. I think Dallas's offense is awesome, and I think that they're going to continue to roll. The thing about them is they're so multiple, and Dak is playing at such an incredibly high level that even though, yes, you can run out Surtain against CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens proved that he can step in and be an alpha receiver whenever CeeDee was on the sideline. Jake Ferguson, an awesome receiving tight end, a dude that really moves the chains and all of that. And then I don't even know how, but Javonte Williams is like having a resurgent season there for Dallas and is being incredibly efficient as well. I think this offense still is able to move the ball and do things against Denver. And so on the other side of 3, I think that's too much with the field goal. So give me Dallas plus 3.5.
I completely agree with you. And this is without question my favorite bet on the board for week number 8. I actually bet this at even money, Denver plus 3. It moved to 3.5, and I put another unit on it. This is how much I love this bet this week. I love betting against teams that should have lost the week before and got lucky. And Denver was an 8.5-point favorite at close, and they had no business winning that game. I understand why the market and some people in the market are betting Denver when it got to 3. The look ahead here was 5-ish. Typically, it gets all the way down to 3. That's an overreaction. I would argue the look ahead was wrong to begin with. I think Dallas is leveling up, and I think Denver has a lot of serious question marks with Bo Nix at quarterback. Among quarterbacks with 50 plays this year, Dak is 6th in EPA plus CPOE composite. Bo Nix is 25th. But some of that is boosted by his rushing so far this season. If you look at passing stats, he is 33rd and 34th in completion percentage over expected and success rate among 40 quarterbacks with at least 50 plays. He stinks this year passing the ball. And this bet to me also, Matt, is about my theory that the Dallas defense might be leveling up here before our very eyes. They were horrendous the first 6 weeks of the season, like historically bad. They played the most zone defense of any team in the league, making it very predictable for offenses to prepare against them, and they did not play well in zone. Last week, there was clearly an order from Schottenheimer to Eberflus to frickin' change it up, man, because this ain't working. And last week, they went to 47.5% man coverage. They kept the Washington quarterbacks guessing snap to snap, whether it be man versus zone. And this from Patrick Walker on X, Washington's quarterbacks against man in that game, 5 for 15 passing, a 45 passer rating. They threw a pick 6. Cowboys got 3 sacks with a defense that quietly has one of the best pressure rates in the league this year. And they also forced a fumble. So even against potentially the worst version of Dallas, if they play zone, Bo Nix this year has been horrible against zone. 37th and 34th in completion percentage and passer rating versus zone this year. I love this bet, Matt. And I think Dallas, if this defense gets figured out, we could potentially be talking about some bigger things here with Dallas in the weeks ahead.
Yeah. I think Pickens and Ferguson props are interesting as well, because if CeeDee Lamb gets a Surtain treatment, which by the way, Surtain definitely can shut down in every single receiver that he plays against, but like, Dak is awesome. Dak is playing great. Dak is going to just, okay, I'll throw to Pickens. I'll throw to Ferguson. Like, I mean, like it's not going, he's not going to force balls in there to CeeDee Lamb in this coverage. And by the way, as you said about the defense, just very quietly, it's not elite by any stretch of the imagination, but they are 11th in the NFL in pressure rate this year so far, which I think everybody, I know you get rid of one of the elite pass rushers in all the NFL, and you just think that that's going to just fall through, fall off a cliff. But, top 12 is pretty damn good in the NFL in anything. And so, yeah, I don't think Dallas is a doormat, to be honest with you. And so kind of love this bet just like you do. Another game that is going to get a lot of banter about is the Green Bay Packers on the road at the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is 45.5 is our total. Pittsburgh gets exposed last week, but Steven, my only problem is what was going on with Green Bay? Like, why can Green Bay not put together 60 minutes and play good for 60 minutes? Like, it's so frustrating when you have the talent they have on defense, when you have the talent they have on offense and all the stuff. I mean, I think we like the coaches and all the things, but this team has been the most disappointing to me team that hasn't just completely flopped so far this year. You better go win this game. You better go win this game by more than a field goal. Like this Pittsburgh team is trash, and you need to go prove that they're trash.
Yeah, I think the two biggest takeaways I have on the Packers so far this year is, number one, the corners might not be good. So in games where they're not getting pressure, they might get exposed. I think we saw that in the Dallas game where they played to a 40-40 tie. And then the offense is moving at a pretty slow pace, which increases the value of each possession, increases variance. They're not moving at a fast pace here, despite how efficient they've been. This Green Bay offense is top 5 in EPA per play and success rate. But if your pace is slow, it's fewer plays. So they're playing a Pittsburgh defense that is bottom half of the league. And then if you strip turnovers out of everything, they're bottom 7 by EPA. So this should be a big advantage for the Green Bay offense. The Green Bay defense 16th and 12th in EPA and success rate, which kind of goes to what I've been saying about the corners, and maybe the pass defense isn't great, but they've had some bad turnover luck as well. They've only forced 3 turnovers this year as a defense, which is the second worst in the league. So that should regress at some point here with the playmakers they have in the front 7. The Pittsburgh offense, 8th and 12th in EPA and success rate with Art Smith and Aaron Rodgers. But I think a lot of that is the first quarter and the scripting by Art Smith. He's number 1 in the NFL in EPA on the first 15 plays. The rest of the game, Pittsburgh drops to 14th by EPA and 22nd by success rate in the second through the fourth quarter. So this was enough for me to bet Packers -3, despite like the eyeball test telling me it doesn't look great so far. But Pittsburgh's a team that you and I have talked about for weeks. I want to fade more. So it's Packers -3 for me. If you're not comfortable with laying the 3, there's a good chance that Pittsburgh scores early here or moves the ball early, and you get under 3 on the Packers with how sharp they have been in their scripting in the first quarter by Art Smith.
Yeah, it is. Listen, for me with this Steelers team, and they got exposed. I've been screaming from a mountaintop that they were fake as it was anyway. I think we continue to see this team get exposed by other ones that come out and just really, I mean, dude, these coverage stats. I mean, it's like EPA per pass allowed, they're 20th in the NFL. If you go and you say, okay, completion rate over expected allowed, 23rd in the NFL. They are running, all of these yards over catch expected. I mean, like they're 22nd in the NFL. Like the Steelers defense is trash, dude. And then I'm so glad that this is a game that I can feel fairly confident that Green Bay can go in and like prove how trash Pittsburgh is. And all that being said, because I'm not as high on Green Bay as the market is, like I still can't get there. I can't throw it in the account. I'm just going to sit there and root from afar, I think. But
listen, like I said, if Pittsburgh gets the ball first, they move the ball down the field. I mean, I think there's a very good chance you can bet under the key number of 3 live, and you're probably going to like that better, regardless of what the Steelers do on the first drive.
And finally, Washington Commanders on the road at the Kansas City Chiefs. This is out to 12.5. 48 is our total. I mean, look, it's Marcus Mariota. Maybe they have the receivers. Maybe they don't. There's just all of this we don't really know. Also, Kansas City last week, Steven, I mean, they put it in neutral because, I mean, the Raiders were no-show. So, I mean, it's like they looked good, but at the same time, like the Raiders were a complete no-show, which kind of masked, by the way, that they lost an offensive lineman again, like the Chiefs did. And it's like, I don't know. I mean, weirdly, I think I would only take the points, but it's probably not a play. It's probably not a game that I'm going to play.
All right, let me see if I can talk you into it then, because I did bet Commanders +13 here. I did lay some juice -116. We'll see if it comes back to a flat +13. I bet that after I saw the update that McLaurin and Debo were full participants in practice today. That was a big deal for me. Now, as far as the quarterback is concerned, I think Marcus Mariota is probably like a 5-point difference with Jaden Daniels. There was a survey of odds makers around the country and around the world of what the drop off of all these starting quarterbacks to their backup was. And the consensus was about 5 points from Jaden to Marcus Mariota. And that kind of jives with me. I mean, wouldn't you agree that there have been weeks where Mariota has gotten a full week to prepare, where he has looked decent and moved the ball fairly effectively in some of these games? There's been 2 of them this year. One was a win, one was a loss, but he moved the ball fairly well. And I would say outperformed expectations for Marcus Mariota. Can we start there? Would you agree with that?
Yeah. And I mean, look, he's not a bum that you're throwing in, right? I mean, this is a guy that is a veteran that started dozens of games in the NFL and has looked capable at times for sure.
Yeah. So the other thing I'll just mention here, we had a comment I wanted to share. The question of whether he wants to start Debo Samuel or Jordan Mason this week from Bunny Brown. I would start Debo Samuel. I think Jordan Mason's going to have fewer attempts this week with Aaron Jones coming off of IR. So this is Debo for me, especially in a negative game script where they might be a little more pass heavy. So I like that. But back to the spread handicap here, Matt. So you and I agree with that point about Marcus Mariota. Market consensus ratings had these two teams about 4 points apart a couple of weeks ago. I think we have to upgrade Kansas City from that. If we upgrade them to what was the number one team in the league at that point, you're now at 4 points apart between these two teams. If you give 5 points of a drop to Mariota, which might be a little too much, but let's just go with it. We're at 9 points on a neutral field, and we can get a 13 here. So I think it's a decent bet. I really do. And I think if we're in a situation where we're down 17 or we're down 20 points late in the game, Marcus Mariota is not Cam Ward. He is not Tua with no explosive ability. He is not Dylan Gabriel. He's got McLaurin and Debo. The back door, I think, is open here for Marcus Mariota in this offense against the Chiefs. And the Chiefs were just 13.5 against the dead Raiders last week. Like the completely dead Raiders, they were 13.5. This can't be 13 with the Commanders. They are not that bad, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it's just to me, like I said, it was so hard to get a read on that game last week with the Chiefs because, I mean, the Raiders were just dead on arrival. I mean, like
right.
completely no-showed in that thing. I mean, they didn't have to play any of the guys in the fourth quarter. I mean,
they had no quarterback. They had no all-pro tight end. They had no number one wide receiver. The pass rusher was not that great. I mean, what they aren't they're the closest team to, with all those guys out, they're the closest team to the Titans to me right now, as hard as it is to say about Geno.
Yeah, no, it's the truth. It really is. So yeah, it's only taking the points or pass for me there on that one. All right, guys, it is time for us to revisit this Minnesota Vikings LA Chargers game. It is now 3.5 out there in the industry. We've seen a couple of these threes turn into 3.5s after the injury report came out. Still hanging at the juiced threes at the other shops. 44.5, the prevailing total out there in the market. I laid the 3 with the Chargers. I played an over on Vidal's receiving yards in this game at only 15.5. I think there was a juiced 14.5. If the juice came down a little bit, obviously then that's the play as well there on that one. But again, I just can't see any of these other dudes. I mean, literally, we're talking about guys off the practice squad, like finding guys off the street to come in. They've had so many running back injuries. So with Hassan Haskins out tonight, I think Vidal becomes an actual true workhorse for this team. And so give me a couple dump offs to him to get over that 15.5 number. And then give me the better team with the offensive line now with the Chargers seemingly healthy. And if seemingly healthy, that's going to be good enough for me. So Chargers laying the 3.
Oh, if you like 15.5 on Vidal receiving yards, you'll love 14.5. And honestly, this is why I love SharpStack. I mean, I would not be promoting it on the show if I didn't use it myself every day. Matt uses it every day, and we're with our partnership with them. Anybody that signs up using the code that we have, TNF Live, you'll get 7 days free for it, 25% off. It's not just this prop screen. It's not just the spread money line and total screen as well. There's an EV tool here that you can go to, and you can sort by which sport you want to see if there's any plus EV bets. And basically what the system is doing is comparing lines at domestic books versus books that are well known to take sharp action and seeing if there's any difference in the odds there and doing all of that for you on the fly. You can sort by sport. You can sort by prop. You can sort by which books you want to display based on the ones you have available in your state. There's all kinds of great tools in here. We use it every single week. This is one I used to find some value on Jordan Mason under rushing yards earlier this week when it was hovering around 60. That's been bet down to like 52, 55 right now at most books. And there's
Steven, let me help you out here. One other thing that's pretty neat. Basketball season is upon us, and they have launched basketball.
Yeah, I used that last night. Hit a nice little parlay of 4 different player props based on the EV tool here. And I don't watch NBA because I'm an East Coast dad, and I'm not staying up for the Golden State Warriors and the LA Lakers, my man. But it's nice to wake up in the morning and see that a little 4-legger parlay of NBA player props that I was just screwing around with hit because I just tailed what was in the SharpStack tool. So that was fun. Again, TNF Live for 7 days free, 25% off. Final thought for me, Matt, is another prop that I'm looking at in the anytime touchdown market for Thursday night football. And got to give credit to my guy, Jeffrey Schreiber, for this nugget as well. Now, even though the LA Chargers don't give up a ton of catches to tight ends, in the red zone, they seem to have a weakness there. The Chargers have allowed a 10.3% touchdown rate to tight ends this season. That is 30th in the NFL. So if we only care about scoring touchdowns, then I think either of the Vikings tight ends might be a decent look here in this game, whether it's TJ Hawkinson, who obviously plays the majority of snaps for this Minnesota Vikings team. And the other one is their backup tight end, their number 2 tight end, Josh Oliver, who, even though he's only playing about half the snaps so far this season, is pretty close to TJ Hawkinson in terms of his red zone targets. So TJ Hawkinson, you can get around plus 240 on him for an anytime touchdown. Josh Oliver, we got to dig a little bit deeper for him. Let's see if we can find him. I think he's around plus 650, plus 750. Yep, for Josh Oliver. So maybe there's some, promos out there, no sweat, jackpots for touchdown, whatever, what have you. That's where I'm kind of looking and fading what the majority will be on in terms of Chargers pass catchers, with them being the favorite. So a first touchdown is a decent look here for me on the Vikings. Just banking on potentially, really 50-50 shot they get the ball first. And even though it's a 50-50 shot they get the ball first, their odds are inflated because they're the underdog in this game and leading into the KOC script as well. So that's kind of where I'm at, leaning into some variance with the Vikings tight ends in the prop market for TNF.
And of course, you see that logo right there over Steven's shoulder. You see it on the screen as well, coming to you live from the Circa Sportsbook there in Kentucky. Of course, if you live in the Midwest, you got to make that trek over there and check this thing out. And of course, if you're in Vegas, always you can stop by at the Circa Sportsbook in downtown Las Vegas. If you see me there, go ahead, tap on the glass, say hello. We can have a cocktail.
Can I show you the coolest part about this studio, Matt?
Yeah.
So this is double pane sliding windows in the studio here that blocks out all the noise. But if we open them up, man, you got a nice patio. You can hear the game, man.
There we go.
Look at this screen, man. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 9 different screens here in the sports book. It is awesome here. I can't get all the way out to you in Vegas every week, buddy, but I can come here to Circa Sportsbook Kentucky and get the same thing with stadium seating and beer and wings and all the good stuff. Love this place, bud.
Hey, right down the road from all you people in Louisville, Nashville, all that, whatever, you can make that trip nice and easy. So be sure and do that as well, guys. It is awesome to be able to do this each and every week. If you haven't done so already, go ahead, subscribe to the channel, like the video, let us know in the comments the different things that you're going to be playing this week, because we are certainly interested in seeing those and hearing those as well. For Steven, I am Matt. Good luck on all your Week 8 bets.